Then first Gerenian Nestor, Horse Lord, spoke. Now that our guests are satisfied with food, time now to talk to them and ask them questions. Strangers, who are you? Where did you sail from? Are you on business or just scouting round like pirates on the sea, who risk their lives to ravage foreign homes? Telemachus was thoughtful, but not shy. Athena gave him the confidence deep in his heart to ask of his absent father, and to gain a noble reputation for himself. Great Nestor, son of Neleus, he said, you ask where I am from. I will be frank. I come from Ithaca, beneath Mount Nion. My business here is personal, not public. I came to gather news of my father, long-suffering Odysseus. They say he fought with you to sack the town of Troy. We know the place where all the other men who battled with the Trojans lost their lives. But Zeus still keeps Odysseus's fate in darkness. No one knows where he was lost. Maybe some hostile men killed him on land, or he was drowned in Amphitrite's waves. I beg you, tell me, did you see him die with your own eyes, or have you any news of where he may be? He may be lost. His mother surely bore him for misfortune. You need not sweeten what you say, in pity or from embarrassment. Just tell me straight what your eyes saw of him, my noble father. If he ever made promises to you and kept his word at Troy, in times of trouble, remember those times now. Tell me the truth. Gerenian Nestor, Horse Lord, answered him. Dear boy, you call to mind how much we suffered, with strong, unyielding hearts, in distant lands when we were sailing over misty seas, led by Achilles on a hunt for spoils, or when we fought around the mighty city of Priam. Our best warriors were killed. More pain, more grief, our sufferings increased. Who could recount so many, many losses? If you stayed here 5 years and kept on asking how many things the fighters suffered there, you would get bored and go back home again before the story ended. Nine long years we schemed to bring them down, and finally Zeus made our plot succeed. Odysseus, your father, if you really are his son, well, no one dared to try to equal him in cleverness. That man was always best at every kind of trick. And seeing you, I am amazed at how you talk like him. One would not think so young a man could do it. Well, back in Troy, Odysseus and I always agreed in councils, with one mind. We gave the Argives all the best advice. After we conquered Priam's lofty town, A god dispersed the ships of the Achaeans. Zeus planned a bitter journey home for us, since home of us had neither sense nor morals. Grey-eyed Athena, daughter of the thunder, became enraged and brought about disaster. She set the sons of Atreus to fight each other. Hastily they called the people at sunset, not observing proper norms. The men arrived already drunk on wine. The brothers told them why they called the meeting. Then Menelaus said that it was time to sail back home across the open sea, but Agamemnon disagreed entirely. He wanted them to stay and sacrifice to heal the sickness of Athena's wrath. Pointless. He did not know she would not yield. The minds of the immortals rarely change. So those two stood and argued angrily, and with a dreadful clash of arms the Greeks leapt up on two opposing sides. We slept that eerie night with hearts intent on hatred against each other, since Zeus meant us harm. At dawn, one group of us dragged down our ships into the sea, piled high with loot and women, while half the army still remained there, stationed with Agamemnon, shepherd of the people. My friends and I set sail with all good speed. A god had made the choppy sea lie calm. We came to Tenedos and sacrificed, praying to get back home, but Zeus refused. The cruel god roused yet more strife among us. Your father's plans were always flexible. His men turned round their prows and sailed right back to make their peace again with Agamemnon, but I assembled all my fleet and fled. I understood some god must mean us harm, so we prayed for signs. The god told us to cross the open sea towards Euboea to escape disaster. A fair wind whistled and our ship sped on across the journey, a ways of fish, and landed at nightfall in Gerestos. To Poseidon we offered many bulls, since we had crossed safely across the wide waters. The 4th day the men of Diomedes moored their ships at Argos. I kept going on to Pylos. The wind the god had sent kept holding strong the whole way home. So, my dear boy, I have no news about what happened next. I do not know which of them has died and who is safe. My dear boy, I see that you are tall and strong. Be brave, so you will be remembered. Thoughtfully Telemachus replied, Your Majesty, King Nestor, yes. I wish the gods would grant me that much power against those men who threaten and insult me, those cruel suitors. The gods have not yet granted us this blessing, my father and myself. We must endure. Gerenian Nestor, Lord of Horses, answered, Dear boy, since you have brought the subject up, I have been told about your mother's suitors, how badly they are treating you at home. You must not stay away too long, dear boy, when those proud suitors lurk inside your house. They may divide your wealth among themselves and make your journey useless. But I suggest you go to Menelaus. He recently returned from land so distant no one would even hope to get home safe, once driven by the wind so far off course, over such dangerous and enormous seas. Birds migrate there and take a year or more to travel back. Go visit him by ship with your own crew, or, if you would prefer, you can go there by land. Here is a carriage. My sons can guide you all the way to Sparta, to Menelaus. Ask him for the truth. He will not lie. He is an honest man. The sun went down, and darkness fell. The goddess bright-eyed Athena spoke to them. King Nestor, your speech was good and your advice was sound. But now slice up the tongues and pour the wine for Lord Poseidon and the other gods before we rest. Time now to go to bed. The light is fading, and is not right to linger at a banquet in the dark. The people listened to Athena's words. Telemachus will stay here tonight and go to sleep in your fine palace. But I must go back to tell the crew the news and keep them strong. You see, I am the oldest in our party. The rest are younger men, close friends together, the same age as our brave Telemachus. I will sleep there beside the hollow ship. At dawn I have important obligations to visit the great Cauconians. This boy can be your guest. Then send him off escorted by your son. Give him a carriage drawn by your strongest and most nimble horses. Bright-eyed Athena flew away, transformed into an ossifrage. Astonishment seized all the people watching, even Nestor. he seized Telemachus's hand and said, "Dear boy, I am now sure that you will be a hero, since the gods are on your side at your young age. This was a god, none other than great Athena, true-born child of Zeus, who also glorified your noble father. Goddess, be kind to us as well, and grant honor to me, my wife, and our sons." So he spoke, and Pallas heard his prayer. Gerenian Nestor led them, and led his sons and sons-in-law inside his own magnificent great hall. When early dawn shone forth with rosy fingers, Nestor rose and set his sons and daughters to their chores, offering libations to Pallas Athena. "My sons now bring 2 horses with fine manes, and yoke them to the carriage, so our guest may start his journey." They obeyed at once, and quickly latched swift horses to the carriage. One of the house girls brought out food and wine and delicacies fit to feed a king. Telemachus got in the lovely carriage. Pisistratus, the son of Nestor, followed, and sat beside him, taking up the reins and whipped the horses. Eagerly they flew off for the open plain, and left the town. All day they ran and made the harness rattle. When rosy-fingered dawn came bright and early, they yoked the horses to the painted carriage, and drove out from the gate and echoing porch. At a light touch of whip the horses flew. Swiftly they drew towards their journey's end, on through the fields of wheat, until the sun began to set, and shadows filled the streets. Book 4. They came to Sparta, land of caves and valleys, and drove to Menelaus's house. They found him hosting a wedding feast for many guests to celebrate his children's marriages. In Troy he had declared that he would give his daughter to Achilles' son, who ruled the Myrmidons. Now he was sending her with dowry gifts of horse-drawn chariots. The god had made the marriage come to pass. And he was welcoming a Spartan bride, Elector's daughter, for his well-loved son, strong Megapenthes. Neighbors and family were feasting gladly under the king's high roof. The bard was singing and strumming, and 2 acrobats were spinning and leading them in dance. Telemachus and Nestor's son stopped by the palace doors and held their horses. The slaves of Menelaus led their guests inside the godlike house, and then seated them beside the son of Atreus, King Menelaus. The boys looked round the palace in amazement. The lofty halls of famous Menelaus shone like the dazzling light of sun or moon. Then ruddy Menelaus welcomed them both and told them, "Help yourselves, enjoy the food. When you have shared our meal, we will begin to ask you who you are. Your fathers must be scepter-bearing kings. The sons of peasants do not look like you." With that he took the dish of rich roast meat, cut from the back, which was his special meal, and offered it to them. They reached their hands to take the food set out in front of them. After their thirst and hunger had been sated, Telemachus turned round to Nestor's son, ducking his head so no one else would hear. Pisistratus, dear friend, do you see how these echoing halls are shining bright with bronze and silver, gold and ivory and amber? It is as full of riches as the palace of Zeus on Mount Olympus. I am struck with awe. When Menelaus heard his words, he spoke to them in turn. His words flew out. No mortal, my dear boys, can rival Zeus. His hails and home and property are deathless. Some men may match my wealth, or perhaps not. I suffered for it. I was lost, adrift, at sea for 8 long years. I traipsed through Cyprus, Phoenicia, Egypt, Ethiopia, Sidon, and Araby, and Libya. But while I wandered there, accumulating wealth, someone crept in and killed my brother. His own scheming wife betrayed him. I can take no joy at all in my wealth. Whoever they may be, your fathers have surely told you how much I have suffered. I lost my lovely home, and I was parted for many years from all my splendid riches. I wish I had stayed here with just 1/3 of all the treasure I have now acquired. If those who died at Troy so far away from Argive pastures were alive and well. I sit here in my palace, mourning all who died, and often weeping. Sometimes tears bring comfort to my heart, but not for long. Cold grief grows sickening. I miss them all, but one man most. When I remember him, I cannot eat or sleep, since no one labored like him. Odysseus. His destiny was suffering, and mine the endless pain of missing him. I do not even know if he is still alive. He has been gone so long. His faithful wife and old Laertes must grieve for him, and young Telemachus, who was a newborn when he went away. These words roused in the boy a desperate need to mourn his father. Tears rolled down his face and splashed down on the ground. He lifted up his cloak to hide his eyes. But Menelaus noticed, and wondered whether he should wait until the boy first spoke of his father, or to ask. As he was hesitating, Helen emerged from her high-ceilinged, fragrant bedroom, like Artemis, who carries golden arrows. She sat down and asked her husband, "Do we know who these men are, Menelaus? who have arrived here in our house? Shall I conceal my thoughts or speak? I feel compelled to say the sight of them amazes me. I never saw two people so alike as this boy and Telemachus, the son of spirited Odysseus, the child he left behind, a little newborn baby, the day the Greeks marched off to Troy. High-coloured Menelaus answered, "Wife, I saw the likeness too. Odysseus had hands like those legs, that hair, that head, that glancing gaze." And when I spoke just now about Odysseus and all the things he suffered for my sake, the boy grimaced, and floods of tears were rolling down his cheeks. He raised his purple cloak to hide his eyes. Pisistratus, the son of Nestor, spoke. "King Menelaus, you are right. This is truly his son, just as you say he is. But he is shy and feels he should not speak too boldly in your presence right away. Your voice is like a god's to us. Lord Nestor sent me to guide him here. He longed to see you, to get some news from you, or some advice. A son whose father is away will suffer intensely, if he has no man at home to help him. In the absence of his father, Telemachus has no one to protect him. Then Menelaus answered, "What need has brought you here, Telemachus, to Sparta over such expanse of sea, private or public business? Tell me truly." Telemachus inhaled and then replied, "King Menelaus, son of Atreus, I come in search of news of my father." "My house is being eaten up. Our wealth is ruined. My whole home is full of men who mean me harm. My mother's loutish suitors. Each day they kill more sheep, more longhorned cattle." "So I am begging you, here on my knees. Tell me the dreadful news, if he is dead. Perhaps you saw it with your eyes, or heard tales of his travels. He was surely born to suffer in extraordinary ways." "Please do not try to sweeten bitter news from pity. Tell me truly if you saw him, and how he was. If my heroic father ever helped you at Troy when things were bad, keep that in mind right now, and tell the truth." Flushed, Menelaus shouted out in anger, "Damn them! Those cowards want to steal the bed of one whose heart is braver than their own. O Father Zeus, Athena, and Apollo, I pray may Odysseus attack the suitors." "May all their lives be brief, their weddings cursed. As for your questions, I will not deceive you. I will not hide a single word I heard from that old sea god Proteus. Although I longed to come back home, away from Egypt, the gods prevented me, since I had always to offer perfect hecatombs. They always desire obedience. There is an island out in the sea beside the coast of Egypt named Pharos. If a clear wind blows your ship, it takes all day to travel to that island. Its harbor has good anchorage, and there men draw dark water up and then launch off to sea. But I was held for 20 days by gods. No winds appeared to guide my ships across the water's back. All our supplies would have been gone, and all our hope. But then a goddess, Eidothea, pitied me, the child of Proteus, the old sea god. She promised to help me and told me her plan. When dawn appeared, her fingers bright with flowers, I walked beside the spreading sea along the dunes and prayed intensely to the gods. Then I chose out my 3 most trusted men. The goddess drove down deep beside the sea and brought 4 sealskins up from underwater, new flayed, to help her plot against her father. She scooped out hiding places in the sand and sat to wait. We came right up to her. She laid us in a row and put a skin on each. It would have been a dismal hideout, stinking of salt-bred seals. Who would lie down to rest beside a creature from the sea? But she brought sweet ambrosia to save us. She very kindly put it in our nostrils to take away the stench of seal. We waited all morning, apprehensively, and then out of the sea there rose a pod of seals. They lay along the shore. At noon the god emerged above the waves. He went among his fatted seals and counted out their number. He counted us among the first of them, suspecting nothing. Then he lay down too. With a great shout he pounced on him and grabbed him. The old god still remembered all his tricks, and first became a lion with a mane, then snake, then leopard, then a mighty boar, then flowing water, then a leafy tree. But we kept holding on. Our hearts stood firm. At last that ancient sorcerer grew tired, and then he asked me, "Son of Atreus, what god devised this plan with you and taught you to lurk and capture me against my will?" "What do you want from me?" And I replied, "Old god, why do you want to throw me off? You know I have been trapped here on this island for far too long, with no way out. My heart grows faint. So tell me, gods know everything. What spirit stops my journey? And how can I get home across the watery shoals of fish?" At once he answered me and told me this: "You should have given Zeus and other gods fine offerings to speed your journey home across the wine-dark sea. It is your fate not to go home or see the ones you love until you go again to Egypt's river, watered by Zeus, and kill 100 cows to please the deathless gods who live in heaven. Then they will let you travel where you wish." I felt heartbroken that I had to cross the misty sea and go again to Egypt. A long and bitter journey. But I answered, "Sir, I will do exactly as you say. But come now, tell me this and tell me truly. Did all the Greeks sail safely home by ship, whom Nestor and myself left there in Troy?" "Did any meet a dreadful death at sea on his own ship, or in familiar arms after the war wound up?" When I said this, at once he answered me and said these words, "O son of Atreus, why ask me this? You have no need to know or learn my mind. When I have told you, you will not be long able to hold back tears. So many men were killed, and many left behind at Troy." I pressed him for answers. My words took wings. I said, "Surely there must be some Greek who lived to see the end of the war and cross the sea, to grow an old man in his home. I know the news may hurt, but I still want to hear it." And he answered, "One man still lives. It is Laertes' son, the Ithacan. I saw him crying, shedding tears and floods of tears, upon Calypso's island in her chambers. She traps him there. He cannot go home. He has no boats with oars or crew to row him across the seas brought back to his own land. But Menelaus, it is not your fate to die in Argos. Gods will carry you off to the world's end, to Elysium." Then the old god sank beneath the waves. I went back to my ships and godlike men, and as I walked my mind swirled with many thoughts. Beside the fleet we cooked and ate our meal. Then holy night came down. We slept beside the surging water. When early dawn appeared and touched the sky with blossom, first we launched the balanced ships into the salty sea, put up our masts and fixed the sails, and then the men embarked and sat on benches neatly in their lines. And then at once they struck the sea with oars. We soon reached Egypt's holy rain-fed river. We docked the ships and sacrificed the oxen. When I had quenched the anger of the gods, I built a mound to honor Agamemnon for his immortal fame. The gods at last gave me fair wind and sent me quickly home. But come now, stay with me here in my palace until 11 days or 12 have passed." Such was their conversation. Then the guests entered the palace, bringing lamb and wine that gives one confidence. The girls, all dressed in pretty scarves, brought bread for them. So went the feasting in the house of Menelaus. Meanwhile, outside Odysseus's house, the suitors were arrogant as usual, enjoying throwing discuses and spears out on the playing field. The two chief suitors were sitting there, Antinous and godlike Eurymachus. Antinous spoke up with eyes bright as fire, his mind darkened with anger. Damn that stuck-up boy proceeded in his stupid trip. We thought he would not manage it. Telemachus has launched a ship and picked an ideal crew despite us all. This is the start of worse. May Zeus destroy his strength before he reaches manhood. Give me a ship and 20 men so I may watch and catch him in the strait, in between Ithaca and craggy Same. A sad end to his journey for his father. The houseboy Medon overheard the suitor's plan and ran to tell Penelope, who speechlessly collapsed. Penelope lay upstairs in her bedroom, refusing food and drink, consuming nothing. She wondered if her fine son would escape from death, or be brought down by those proud suitors. Her mind was like a lion, caught by humans, when they are clustering round him in a circle trying to trap him. So sweet drowsiness subdued her, and she slept, her limbs relaxed. Athena had an idea. She made a ghost, looking like Penelope's dear sister, and sent it into her dream to tell her that her son would be as well. The misty phantom told her, "Have courage, let not your heart be troubled or afraid. Telemachus has a goddess as his guide, Athena, a helper many men prayed to have. She has great power. Pitying your grief, she sent me here to tell you all of this." Careful Penelope replied, "If you are actually a god with news from gods, tell me of my husband too, poor man. Tell if he is alive and sees his son, or dead already in the house of Hades." The spirit said, "I cannot tell you whether he is alive or dead. It is not good to speak of things intangible as wind." With that, the phantom floated through the air into the breeze, and then Penelope woke up from sleep, and she was glad at heart, because she dreamed so clearly in the night. The suitors got on board and sailed across the water, set on murdering the boy. There is a rocky island out at sea, in between Ithaca and craggy Same, called Asteris. Quite small, but with a harbor to shelter ships, and there they lurked in ambush. When early dawn shone forth with rosy fingers, bringing the light to deathless gods and mortals, the gods sat down for council with the great thunder lord Zeus. Athena was concerned of Odysseus's many troubles, trapped by the nymph Calypso in her house. "Father and all immortal gods," she said, "Odysseus ruled gently, like a father, but no one even thinks about him now. The wretched man is stranded on an island. Calypso forces him to stay with her. He cannot make his way back to his country. He has no ships, no oars, and no companions to help him sail across the wide-backed sea. His son has gone for news of his lost father, in sandy Pylos and in splendid Sparta. They plot to kill the boy when he returns." Smiling at her, Lord Zeus, who heaps the clouds, replied, "Ah, daughter, what a thing to say! Did you not plan all this yourself so that Odysseus could come and take revenge upon these suitors? Now use all your skill to ensure Telemachus comes safely home, and that the suitors fail and sail away. Then, turning to his son, he said, Dear Hermes, you are my messenger. Go tell the goddess our fixed intention, that Odysseus must go back home. He has endured enough. Without a god or human as his guide, he will drift miserably for 20 days upon a makeshift raft, and then arrive at fertile Scheria. The magical Phaeacians will respect him like a god, and send him a ship to his dear homeland, with gifts of bronze and heaps of gold and clothing, more than he would have brought with him from Troy if he had come directly, with his share of plunder. It is granted him to see the ones he loves beneath his own high roof in his own country. Hermes heard these words at once, and fastened upon his feet the sandals of everlasting gold, with which he flies on breath of air across the sea and land. He seized the wand he uses to enchant men's eyes to sleep or wake as he desires, and flew. The god flashed bright in all his power. He touched Pieria, then from the sky he plunged into the sea and swooped between the waves. So Hermes scudded through the surging swell. Then finally he reached the distant island, steeped from the indigo water to the shore, and reached the cavern where the goddess lived. There sat Calypso with her braided curls. Beside the hearth a mighty fire was burning. Inside she was singing and weaving with a shuttle made of gold. Her voice was beautiful. But Hermes did not find Odysseus, since he was sitting by the shore as usual, sobbing in grief and pain. His heart was breaking. In tears he stared across the fruitless sea. Divine Calypso told her guest to sit upon a gleaming, glittering chair, and said, Dear friend, Lord Hermes of the Golden Wand, why have you come? You do not often visit? What do you have in mind? My heart inclines to help you if I can, if it is fated. For now, come in and let me make you welcome. At that the goddess led him to a table heaped with ambrosia, and she mixed a drink, red nectar. So swift-flashing Hermes drank and ate till he was satisfied, and then the diplomat explained why he had come. You are a goddess, I a god, and yet you ask why I am here? Well, I will tell you. Zeus ordered me to come. I did not want to. Why would he desire to cross such an expanse of endless salty sea? No human town is near here where gods get fine sacrifices. Still, none can sway or check the will of Zeus. He says the most unhappy man alive is living here. A warrior from those who fought the town of Priam for 9 years, and in the 10th they sacked it and sailed home. But on the journey back they wronged Athena. She roused the wind and surging sea against them, and all his brave companions were destroyed, while he himself was blown here by the waves. Zeus orders you to send him on his way at once, since it is not his destiny to die here far away from those he loves. It is his fate to see his family and come back home to his own native land. Calypso shuddered and let fly at him. "You cruel, jealous gods! You bear a grudge whenever any goddess takes a man to sleep with his lover in her bed." So now you male gods are upset with me for living with a man I saved. Zeus pinned his ship and with his flash of lightning smashed it to pieces. All his friends were killed out on the wine-dark sea. This man alone, clutching the keel, was swept by wind and wave, and came here to my home. I cared for him and loved him, and I vowed to set him free from time and death forever. Still, I know no other gods can change the will of Zeus. So let him go, if that is Zeus's order, across the barren sea. I will not give an escort for this trip across the water. I have no ships or rowers, but I will share what I know with him, and gladly give useful advice, so he can safely reach his home. The mediator, Zeus's servant, replied, "Then send him now. Avoid the wrath of Zeus."